Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for taking the time to attend this seminar on asset protection solution for offshore wind farms. My name is Joel Box, and I am GateHouse's sales director based in the USA. So today's webinar will run for approximately 30 minutes. I'll give you a short background on GateHouse Maritime, and then we'll talk about our asset protection solutions, sort of why you might need it, how we do it, and what we actually do. And then we'll take a quick look at how straightforward it is to set up the event detection tools within our software solution. We will have a question and answer period at the end of the presentation. If you've got any questions during the webinar, please enter them into the question and answer chat interface within the webinar software. The intention is at the end, certainly to be able to answer all of your questions. But in the event that we don't get that done, we will reach out to you individually and make sure that you get the information that you require. And finally, from an administrative standpoint, the webinar is being recorded. And once we've got it processed, we'll send you a link to the recording at the email address you registered for. So GateHouse is a Danish company headquartered in Aalborg, Denmark, and was founded in the early 1990s. There are three separate business units within GateHouse. Our SATCOM group, which is focused on the development of communication software for the satellite market space. GateHouse Maritime, which I'm a part of. And we're focused on asset protection, coastal monitoring and surveillance, and in supply chain or ocean visibility to support supply chain. Then the third business unit is GateHouse Igniter, and this group is focused on small startup companies in both the SATCOM and maritime sectors, and bringing our experience to try to build them up and develop their services. Ultimately, what we deliver are mission critical software solutions, and from a software as a service and data as a service solutions. These solutions are flexible and scalable, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the upcoming few minutes. So what actually do we do? Well, our asset protection solutions are designed to provide proactive protection for timely and precise responses to events. And when we're talking about events, we are talking about activities around your assets, wherever they may be, defining those assets using geofencing technology. So you can define your own areas, and you can define as many areas as you require to keep your asset protected. So as an example, you could have one area simply defined for the entire wind farm. You could have other areas defined that are focused on export cables or the transformer stations, etc. And this protection is automated for situations like vessels entering or exiting a particular area, or changes in behavior for vessels within those geofenced areas. So it could be examples like vessel enters an area and begins to slow down. Well, that could mean a number of things, and depending upon the the particular operation. For example, if it's a fishing vessel that enters into the area and then begins to slow down, there's a chance that they are dropping their nets and are beginning some fishing activities. But we can look and provide the tools to define these events, things like vessels that are speeding up or have a high rate of turn within the area, dropping their anchor, changing navigation status, etc. And setting all of this up is pretty straightforward. We define the geofences with our shape tools, and then associate a filter to that particular shape. And one of the strengths of GateHouse's solution is our ability to be able to filter on pretty much anything that is being broadcast by a vessel's automatic identification system. So you can pull out information like, vessel type, speed, course over ground, navigational status, country that it's flagged under, etc. So this allows you to sort of dig through this large, these large volumes of data and only have your event detection focused on those particular vessels that are of interest for your operation. As part of the setup for the protection areas, you can also automate messaging. So if a vessel enters a particular area and perhaps has reduced its speed, an email can be automatically sent to your operations team or an SMS as well. For those systems that are set up with transmitters, the vessel itself can automatically receive or be sent a message indicating that they may be violating a particular protected area. And then additionally to the geofenced areas, to provide information on events, we also have the tools in place to be able to define and broadcast AIS virtual ATONs to further delineate areas of that vessels should use caution when approaching and or entering. We also have the tools to support pre-deployment. So that could be analysis of past historical tracks for vessels in a particular location. Look at things like density plots or heat maps, near miss reports. So you can designate particular areas or points of interest and make a determination as to how many vessels came close to colliding or alighting with that particular point in space, and then utilizing this information may help you make decisions in some of your operations and how the actual farm or components of the farm may be deployed. The tools are also designed to be set up on a near permanent basis, or can be utilized on a very temporary basis if you're providing maintenance or there's new cable being laid. You can set up these temporary areas with no problem at all. So we believe that we provide a very comprehensive solution that includes the alerts, data analysis, also support for documentation in the event that there's an incident, and replay options to be able to show certain scenarios in the event that there was an incident. So we've talked about the tools themselves, but now it's sort of the how we're doing it. And this solution that I'm talking about is a cloud-based solution. The demonstration that we have will utilize our software as a service solution, but all of which I'll be showing is also available as a data as a service solution through a standard REST API. And what allows us to be able to provide these types of tools and analytics, including some predictive analytics as well. We may be able to make predictions on certain vessels' arrivals into specified locations within your area of responsibility. The foundation for this is what we call the GateHouse Maritime Data Foundation. We've been building it for over a decade now. The foundation itself has about 273 billion data points, which we add to about 150 million on a daily basis to it, where our system is capable of tracking close to 300,000 vessels in real time. And so we have the information to allow you to perform the analytics that can provide you with the benefits to help support and protect the assets that you're monitoring. So we'd be a little bit presumptive here, but why do you need it? Why should you use it? Well, we do think that the solution provides you with the tools to assess the many of the risks in the pre-deployment phase. We think that with the proper geofencing and with your area of interest, it will certainly help protect your infrastructure from vessel-related damages. The solution itself is automated. Once it's set up, it simply runs, and because we are operating in a cloud environment with redundancy and 24/7 monitoring itself, the system is extremely reliable, and we can easily scale it up. So this tool should free up your resources to focus on other tasks. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, support for incident investigations and being able to provide documentation, for example, data extracts, videos, playback videos, and reenactment of incident investigation. So right now, bear with me a second when I share my screen to go to our software as a service solution. It may take a couple of seconds. Okay, well, this is our asset protection interface called AIS Web. And if you're familiar with AIS data, I'm sure you've seen displays like this one, where you can track and monitor individual targets. So I won't spend any time going through some of the basic features and functionalities, but rather focus on how to create an event within the system. And the first thing that we normally do is create one of our filters. And I've used the example of fishing vessels, so I'll create a fishing vessel filter right here. Quite straightforward to do. Just need to assign a name to the filter itself. And by clicking on the auto completion list, it shows you the fields that are valid to create filters on. So these are majority of the fields within AIS. In this case, I'll select type of ship, equals, and then fishing. When I save that filter, we can then simply activate that. So now within this demonstration system, we're only seeing the fishing vessels as compared, as a subset of all the other vessels within the system. But we can build, we can build upon that considerably. This is a very, very simple filter. But if we want to modify it and say, well, I'm interested in fishing vessels, but I don't care for those that are likely in transit and at a relatively high speed, and I'm not interested in those that aren't moving. So we can add to this filter using a Boolean statement. Say I want to see fishing vessels that have a speed over ground. We'll say greater than 1 knot, and a speed over ground of less than 6 knots. And we save that, and we should see, there we go. So here are a number of the fishing vessels in the system right now that are operating at those speeds. So the next step in creating the event is actually defining the shape, and so essentially defining the area that provides some risk to your asset if a vessel does enter it. And I'll do something around Block Island here. I'll bring up the chart so we've got a little bit of a reference to a wind farm, and I'm just going to create a shape around the turbine area. So it's quite simple interface. Select the appropriate tag, and in this case, it'll be a polygon that I want to create. With everything in GateHouse software, you need to assign a name. So I'll just call it Turbine Webinar. And then I'll just digitize a shape around the turbines. Now it's a very simple, straightforward shape, but we have support for shapes up over 1,000 points, so you can get them quite precisely defined. And I'm just going to throw it into the Block Island group here and save the shape. So we now have the filter and the shape, and the way we tie these together, and it is to define the event itself. So within the event admin tab, we can create a new event, and we provide a number of different event types. The first 3 are simply focused on the geospatial primitives of area, lines, and circles. And then we've got some specialized events for entries into port, fishing activities, and our cable report. The cable report actually is very applicable to wind farm asset protection as well, as it provides some analytics on vessels dropping anchors, reducing speeds, etc. For this example, though, I'll just set up a simple area event, and we'll just call it turbine. We select the shape itself. Oops. Apologize here. It's yes. It has gone into demonstration mode for me. It's not allowing me to select the shape that that I designated. So I'll just show you the one that I had created earlier. So very similar shape, assigned it a name, and then to associate a filter with it, I select the filter that we just created called fishing webinar. So this will only trigger when a fishing vessel enters this area operating between speeds of 1 and 6 knots. We can also add in our notification. I'll just set it up for my own email here. And we have the option of selecting whether it's an email, an SMS, or both. And if we were connected to a transponder, we would be able to send a message directly through the AIS. Now, once the event's been configured and enabled, you'll see whether it's active or not with the green dot. So you can turn it on and off as appropriate. And when vessels do enter the area, that is when the event notifications are created. So we see we've got a number here for the turbines event. So if I click on the Atlantic provider event, it will show when the event was triggered, and I think I'm showing the last 24 hours of track for the Atlantic Pioneer vessel. But this is when the event was triggered in the system, and then when it was deactivated. So when the vessel enters in and exits, and you can see the Atlantic Pioneer was in and out of the area quite extensively earlier on today and yesterday. We can go back through the history on a day-to-day basis. So you can set up as many of these events as applicable. All of the information, each event that is triggered is stored in the database, and you can generate statistical reports to get a mapping of where all of the incursions occurred within the system. So it's going back to the automated nature of the solution. You don't have to have somebody in front of the screen. They're constantly being recorded, automated messages sent out, and then you can come back and you can actually generate weekly, daily reports. I know we're getting short on time here. Did have a couple of reports that I'd mentioned. Looking at historical track, again focused in this area here. But we can see all of the vessel traffic. In this case, it was from the beginning of June until the 19th of September. We can then dig into this data, showing the vessels that created the tracks, get information on their speed over ground profiles, etc. So you can dig into this data. It's easily exportable. So if you have other analysis systems that this information would be valuable to, it's easy to pull it out of the system in a variety of formats, including Esri shape files. So I had mentioned some density reports as well, and we can the system can generate those for much larger geographic areas than simply a small wind farm area. So I am going to head back to presentation here. Again, bear with me a couple of seconds. And I will just take a look if we have any questions. And we do. We've had a couple questions. The first one was, does GateHouse supply the AIS data for the monitoring solution? The answer is yes, we can. We do have worldwide coverage with AIS, both satellite AIS and terrestrial AIS data. That data is available for for a fee. We can also connect to your existing data feeds if you've set up a network, an AIS receiver network or transmitter network for your farm. And then the last question, it's a good one, is what if a vessel turns off its AIS transponder? And yeah, that is a good question, because we do know that happens. So there's a couple of things that that we have or are working on. And the first is we do have a report called Transponder Off, where we can do an analysis of an area and determine when vessels turned on and off their transponder. And some very, we'll say, classic example of that is in maritime sensitive areas where fishing's not allowed. We have reports of vessels approaching the area, transmitting as they should. As they get near the area, they turn off their transponder, fish for 3-4 hours, come out on the other side of the area, turn their transponder back on, and it's not too difficult to create a picture of what happened there. We're also doing a lot of work, started with the Danish military, on dark target detection efforts. So for those targets that are trying to go quiet, there are new tools, data services, and feeds that we can incorporate into our event detection model to be able to provide the same types of alerts that I demonstrated with the AIS. We can also take in other data that has a lat-long coordinates and some information about the asset as well. So we've got quite a bit of capability on that front. Well, coming to the end of the webinar here. Again, I really appreciate everybody taking the time today. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us, and can be reached at that email. We'd be happy to answer any of your questions, provide you with a demonstration and an evaluation if that's appropriate. Thank you very much, and I hope that you all have a great rest of your day.